So we have a new Daredevil book coming out and a new writer, Stephanie Phillips. Got some thoughts, only one concern. Let's get into it. All right, y'all. So I'm gonna read this article, kind of go through this article with y'all. Bringing in Stephanie Phillips uh, onto the Daredevil book, and so here we go. Acclaimed writer Stephanie Phillips from Planet She-Hulk and a few other pieces of work that we'll talk about in a minute here, and superstar writer Lee Garbett take over The Man Without Fear next year in Daredevil #1, following the footsteps of legendary creative teams from the title's esteemed history. I mean, you can go down the list on that, whether it's Frank Miller, Ann Nesenti, Ed Brubaker. I mean, there's so many great writers. Chip Zdarsky on Daredevil. Anyways, going back to the article. Phillips and Garbett set out to redefine Daredevil for a new age. A fresh start that's perfect for newcomers and longtime fans alike. The new run sees Matt Murdock confront unprecedented challenges, both in his personal life as Matt Murdock and on the dangerous streets of Hell's Kitchen as Daredevil. Matt will go back to school, taking on a new role as a law professor, just as a new supervillain named Omen emerges with a mysterious vendetta against his superhero alter ego. Okay, interesting. Here is a glimpse of that art. It's be coming out March 2026. Very excited for that. March 18th to be exact. Hell's Kitchen full of secrets, but no secret stays buried for long. As a fearsome new supervillain named Omen targets Matt Murdock, it'll be his alter ego Daredevil who takes the hits. But beware, this mysterious new player isn't all that they appear. A secret Daredevil will have to learn quickly as he scrambles to set into a life and status quo we've never seen him in before. Quote by Stephanie Phillips: "I'm taking one of my favorite characters with one of my favorite artists, and together we're exploring Daredevil's noir sensibilities." We're going to get back to that in a second. Lee Garbett brings so much style and emotion to every page, and I couldn't ask for a better partner to bring this version of Daredevil to life. Okay, standard selling a book speed. I get it. Garbett, quote, "I couldn't be more excited to be working with Stephanie Phillips on Daredevil. We came to the project together with a genuine love of the character and a clear vision for the book. Steph is an incredible writer and has absolutely nailed the tone and heart of Daredevil's world. Every beat feels authentic and DD, Daredevil at his purest. We've got fresh ideas and some big surprises in store." I guess one of the surprises, or not really surprises, is going to be the blind bag. This is the second Marvel title sold in the True Believers blind bag. Ultimate Endgame #1 will have been the first. Marvel's new blind bag program gives fans a chance to purchase the issue in special sealed bags that contain any of the issue's covers, including rare variant covers exclusive to blind bags and hand-drawn, ultra-rare, one-of-a-kind sketch covers by surprise contributors. Yada, yada, yada. December 31st, Ultimate Endgame #1. Look at all these different covers. You have your main one from Lee Garbett, and then you have Joe Quesada, Daniel Warren Johnson, Greg Land, just all over. So, like there's so many different artists here, in different variants, and yeah, that's the article, and that's I guess this is what kind of brings me to the first of a few thoughts I have on this Daredevil run. Before we even get into Stephanie Phillips, the comic writer, because there is a lot of thoughts, conjecture, and opinion on that. I want to start with the fact that we're resetting to a #1 for Daredevil, which, like, sure, okay. But the blind bags, which I'm not a fan of, I feel like in general, just really gimmicky. The blind bags in conjunction with setting it on a new #1, and then of course bringing in Stephanie Phillips, who is a acclaimed comic writer in her own right, but mostly, in my opinion, from like what she's done on independent work. I've not really been impressed with her work with Harley Quinn. She's done stuff with Wonder Woman, stuff with Spider-Gwen, stuff on the X-Men. I've not really liked her tone on that, and maybe because a little more whimsical, a little more witty, a little more, there's more of a humorous aspect to it. I thought with Harley Quinn it was definitely just not my style of book. But you go to a book in Daredevil where, I mean, come on, there's so many dark noirish tales in his mythos, right? Like the very essence of that character is rooted in darker sensibilities, in redemption, in his religion, in the crime that runs rampant, and one man's attempt to manage that on the street, but also balance and manage himself within. That's a lot to ask for Stephanie Phillips to handle, at least from what I've seen from her work. But unlike, some things I've seen, I'm gonna give it a chance. I'm gonna let it kind of play out and see before I've had sweeping judgment. I think that one aspect I just brought up about Daredevil and redemption, that's something that I think Phillips has displayed in some of her work throughout Wonder Woman. I thought through Spider-Gwen, some of those themes. Again, the mastery of the character is what I'm concerned about mainly, but we'll give it a chance. I also don't know how I feel about Matt Murdock. Like he's going back to school. We've seen this before, Peter Parker and Spider-Man going back as a teacher, right? I think it can be interesting with Matt Murdock because if he's going to be a teacher for law, there's certain storylines you can kind of explore there. The juxtaposition between Matt Murdock teaching ethics and law and then going out and enacting his own version of street justice out in Hell's Kitchen every night, right? And the balancing of that, the interaction between, him as a teacher and classmates, right? Does his personal life as Daredevil bleed into him being, a teacher the next day? Anything from injuries and stuff and late nights to maybe students, getting into some crime and Daredevil being the one to deal with those people and then deal with them again the next day in class. Like there's different avenues that can be explored there that I am intrigued by. I don't think it doesn't scream bold new direction, but maybe you take a similar theme, a similar story, some like a take on a character, or at least a setting for a character, in this case Daredevil, that we are aware of, and explore it in a different way over the course of the story, right? So I don't think there's anything really novel about Matt Murdock being a teacher any more than a lawyer, but there are different avenues that you can explore, different story threads that you can kind of unravel that can take that into a different direction, right? Omen, the villain, the new one, it felt like generic comic cell speak. A mysterious villain with ties to Matt Murdock. Okay, that could be anything retcon. That could be someone from his school life. Like there's nothing there. Is Omen a bad omen for the future? Like is it that black and white? I'm not quite sure. But what I am excited about, Lee Garbett, I really am a fan of his art. I think again I'm gonna share that screen real quick, but if you saw that cover, or at least the cover that they're showing right now, like that, I like it. Like that's a nice look for him. I definitely want to see more in terms of like bring out the grit of Hell's Kitchen. How is the kind of tapestry of where he'll be like showcasing the city at night, showcasing the bustling school. Like I want to see some of the art brought to life, but I have no doubt that Garbett will do just that. And I'm excited to see Daredevil back. I'm definitely gonna give this a chance. I'm not willing to throw shade on Stephanie Phillips and wish her, anything less than the best. I hope this run goes well. This is the first full-time female writer for Deadpool since Anna Senti. Like that's like almost 40, 50 years ago. Almost 40 years ago, because it was 40 something years ago. It was in the 80s. So nearly 40 years ago since we've seen a full-time female writer. And so giving that a chance, seeing what her stamp on this character will be, what her own sensibilities will be, how will she learn? Well, I mean, adapting her own writing style, as we've seen in other stories, that make me kind of have some pause for what it will look like in this. But how does that carry over? Like maybe he is witty and a little back and forth in the classroom. Maybe he's not that as Daredevil, right? Maybe you flesh out different characters and create more authentic scenes with a Stephanie Phillips style that still makes it her own while still keeping true to the Daredevil that we all know and love. Because when I think Daredevil, I definitely think noir. I definitely think that darkness. I definitely want to see that balancing of that, right? And the inner demon within the inner devil within, right? And making sense of that. So I'm optimistic. Comes out a little bit after my birthday. So I'm not gonna say happy birthday to me yet because I'm not a blind bag fan. So it's not like it's a present. but I am excited to grab a book. I just wish and hope that in the future, Marvel, they were going to go in what, by all accounts, seems to be a bold direction with Stephanie Phillips as the writer for Daredevil. And if you want to go bold in any capacity with a book, I think the less gimmicks, the better, because Blind Bag, resetting to #1, screams that. Stand by your creator, and that's just my thought. I'm not saying that they're not, but it feels like that. It lends credibility to the fact they might not be if you are putting all these like bells and whistles alongside the fact that, okay, we have a new writer on this book that nobody saw coming. Because I never would have thought Stephanie Phillips, Daredevil. Not many writers have the dexterity to go from a Harley Quinn to a Daredevil, and I'm really hoping that Phillips has that. So I'm looking forward to it regardless. I'm excited to give her a shot on this book. Can't wait to see the artwork. Let's see what Omen looks like. I look forward to giving it a little bit of a review in the future, but that's all I got for this one. Shout out to anyone paying attention on this. Really appreciate y'all. Please make sure to like, subscribe, leave in the comments below. What do y'all think about Stephanie Phillips here taking over Daredevil? Are you anything you're excited about, anything you're worried about? I'd love to hear it. Have a conversation in the chat below. But thank y'all. Take care. We'll be talking real soon, y'all.